We begin tonight with the wait for a potential arrest. The 45th president of the United States, the current front runner in the Republican nomination, suggesting that he will be arrested on Tuesday. And Donald Trump not being shy with how he feels about that possibility. Yesterday, he called for protests. Today, Trump is saying it's the investigators who should be investigated. And he continues to maintain through it all that he did nothing wrong. This all centers around the alleged hush money payment made to the adult film star Stormy Daniels right before the 2016 presidential election. And even though Trump is suggesting that he will be arrested within the upcoming days, the investigation is seemingly still playing out. NewsNation senior political contributor George Will gives us his thoughts momentarily. But we begin tonight with Robert Sherman, who is live in New York City. Robert?
Blake, good evening to you. And you walk around this city, there is this undeniable tension in the air. Everybody is talking about this story, and everybody wants to know exactly what is going to happen here.
It was seemingly business as usual for former President Donald Trump Saturday night, attending a wrestling match in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and posing for the cameras with attendees. You'd never guess that just hours earlier, he blasted to the world on his social media platform, Truth Social, that New York officials intend to arrest him Tuesday. This is all in regards to an alleged $130,000 hush money payment made through the former president's attorney at the time, Michael Cohen, to porn star Stormy Daniels, allegedly in an attempt to bury her story of an affair with Mr. Trump. Neither Mr. Trump's attorney nor anyone from the New York District Attorney's office has been able to corroborate the claim the arrest would happen that day. And it is possible such action could be delayed, since another witness is set to testify before the grand jury Monday. But the former president's attorney acknowledged to NewsNation's Dan Abrams days ago that Mr. Trump would likely be indicted.
You know, it's becoming more probable, I think, now.
The former president is now taking aim at President Biden, writing in a post on Truth Social that, quote, Biden wants to pretend he has nothing to do with the Manhattan DA's assault on democracy when, in fact, he has stuffed the DA's office with Department of Injustice people, including one top DOJ operative from D.C. who is actually running the horseface witch hunt. Both the former president and his supporters claim the investigation reeks of political motive. The Manhattan district attorney leading the charge in this case is Alvin Bragg, former state and federal prosecutor who took office in 2022. On day one, he released a memo outlining his strategy, which received some backlash, saying he would, quote, not be prosecuting minor offenses that have no impact on public safety to avoid over-incarceration in New York. Yet while on the campaign trail en route to victory, he repeatedly boasted about suing former President Trump 100 times. The DA's office has not responded to NewsNation's request for comment, but an internal note sent out by Bragg and acquired by Politico states, quote, we do not tolerate attempts to intimidate our office or threaten the rule of law in New York, adding, as with all of our investigations, we will continue to apply the law evenly and fairly. That memo from Bragg did not name the former president directly, but came out shortly after Mr. Trump called on his supporters to protest an indictment. As such, the city is preparing for possible demonstrations. The 45th president's former attorney and the prosecution's so-called key witness, Michael Cohen, claims he believes Mr. Trump is seeking a, quote, violent clash. But Harvard Law School professor Alan Dershowitz told NewsNation's own Chris Cuomo Friday that, in his opinion, the case just doesn't look right.
This is not what the criminal justice system is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be creative. It's not supposed to bring different statutes together that have never been used against somebody.
Mr. Trump insists no crime was committed, but still, there are many questions about what a possible indictment of a former president would look like. Danya Perry, the former assistant attorney for the Southern District of New York, says, don't expect any fireworks.
Former President Trump is not going to be dragged in front of a scrum of reporters. There's not going to be a perp walk. He won't be put in handcuffs or shackles. He will self-surrender. If indeed former President Trump is charged with and convicted of any of these offenses that we've been talking about, then he will be treated under the law just like anybody else.
And it is being reported that that witness that will be testifying tomorrow is someone who's been called by Team Trump to discredit Michael Cohen in this case. In his testimony, Michael Cohen says he will be offering a rebuttal testimony as well. Blake?
And hence, Robert, it sounds like the investigation continues here in the lead up to Tuesday, maybe even beyond. Robert Sherman live in New York City tonight. Robert, thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.